today's podcast, we're digging deep to find out exactly how to grow your reach and influence quickly on LinkedIn with Cory Warfield, who's coming at us live and in Technicolor from Rio in Brazil. We're also going to talk about how you can leverage his expertise to scale not just your network, but your message and your results. Hey gang, it's Erica Warfield with the Influencer Experience of Influencer TV. And this is where we show you how CEOs and founders build their influence. So be sure to check out any relevant links that we're going to be mentioning in the show down in the description box below. And if you like this podcast, we'd be so grateful for your support. So here's what you're going to do. Please give us a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe, and you'll be able to catch all of the wisdom, the hacks, and the content that we've got planned coming up for you. So let's get into this. Cory, you are a serial entrepreneur. You're a waiter turned tech mogul. You're an integral part of what Anthony James is doing with InfluencerActive. You're like the hottest thing coming up in blockchain, and then also what you're doing with CoryConnects. There's literally too many things that I could mention about your background. What have I missed? Can you flesh it out and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So I don't know that you've missed anything other than that I'm a very spiritual, religious person. I love everyone on God's earth, and I'm really looking at ways to leverage technology, blockchain being one of them, to help us not only kind of globalize, but also localize. I'm doing some things kind of to help save Main Street and some things in different parts of the world. And one of my newest initiatives is the sharing economy. So kind of the communal economy. And so I have a company, Share It, where we've impacted Israel. We're going to be coming down here to Rio. It's one of the reasons I'm here. And we've just launched in some universities in the US as well to help people shop without money and to help strengthen communities. So yeah, you really hit it on the head. I love doing what I do, and LinkedIn has been central to everything that I do for the last few years.
Well, and what I love about that, we are very heavily connected here at Influencer TV with, our CEO, who's really big into blockchain and crypto. So I know there could be opportunity to chat with him as well. So that's exciting news to hear what you're doing in Rio. So we're going to highlight three main points exactly about how Cory builds influence for himself and how he creates LinkedIn influencers. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this podcast, because that's when we explore what he's discovered about the LinkedIn algorithm. How cool is that? Cory, LinkedIn is like oxygen for everything that you do in all of your endeavors. And so with that, you clearly had a kick in the pants moment. So I was kind of curious if you could share what prompted you to take growth and engagement seriously on LinkedIn.
Well, thanks. And that's an amazing question and kind of a great catalyst. So a few years ago, I had put my life savings into starting my first technology company, Shedwell, and it was born out of the fact that 20 years working in the restaurant industry, my schedule changed every single day. So as a waiter, bartender, I didn't know if I was working or not the next day. I couldn't plan my life. I couldn't forecast my earnings. As a manager, my bonuses were contingent on having the right labor for my P&L. And I never knew, should I bring in a couple people? Should I bring them in sooner? This person doesn't want to work. So I put my life savings in a year of my life into building a technology that launched on the market. And for the life of me, I couldn't get any of the key clients, right? Some of the bigger national chains, and I couldn't raise any outside capital. So I started noodling on how do I get the exposure, right? How do I reach the executives that are decision makers at some of these national chains? How do I get people to start to take me seriously as an entrepreneur? And someone suggested I start to take LinkedIn seriously. This is about 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. And I saw that people were starting to make videos of themselves because LinkedIn had just introduced the video function. So I started to make some videos of myself, and I love going back and looking at those earlier videos because some of them still have literally 3 likes, 5 likes, right? And for whatever crazy reason, I had this tenacity to just keep going. And next thing you knew, after a couple of months, some of my posts started to take off. And I caught the attention of a couple of the influencers on the platform whose posts were going viral, right? Tens of thousands of likes, millions of views. And they started to know who I was and like me because of these little videos I had done. So they started supporting me. And next thing you know, my videos started to go viral. And I had this kind of aha moment where I felt kind of like a jerk because all of a sudden I had tens of thousands of people watching my videos and I wasn't watching any of their videos. I was raising capital, I was scaling a company, I was training and hiring staff, I was still the #1 salesperson in the company. And so I didn't have time to watch a million people do 3, 4, 5 minute videos of themselves. And frankly, although I would have loved to get to know a million people around the world, I didn't have that bandwidth or capacity. So I stopped doing videos. And at this point, I'd kind of understood some of the things about the algorithm and the computer science. And so my posts were still doing fairly well. But I started to get all this outreach. And over the course of about a month, I had at least hundreds of people reach out and say, what happened to your videos? We missed your videos. Please make these videos. And I started telling people, it's not reciprocal. I'm not watching your videos. I can't do this, right? I'm not Jerry Springer, right? Like I'm not just this video guy. Like I can't put out these things. I literally feel guilty asking people to watch these videos myself when I can't reciprocate. So I came up with this concept where I'll only make 30-second videos. And that way, if other people make 30-second videos, I'll watch them all. So I started a hashtag value in 30. I started doing these 30-second videos and they caught on like wildfire. I think my first 100,000 view post was one of these 30-second videos. And it was amazing. And other people started to do them as well. And so obviously I followed my own hashtag. I could see their posts as well. And I could always find 30 seconds to watch these videos. So that's what I started to do. And next thing you know, my follower count grew. I think I went from like 5,000 to 50,000 followers in 3 months or something like that. And then that's just kept growing. But so that formula really worked. And that prompted me to start to learn the algorithm. Why do short videos do better than long videos? What time of day should I post these short videos, right? Like what other things does the algorithm favor and what things, if I do them, are going to hurt my performance? And that's what I started getting, up to. I think at this point, I'm doing a couple million views a month on my content and growing by a couple thousand followers a week. But right, it's taken me these couple of years to really just, it's now smooth sailing because I do understand the psychology. I do understand the algorithm. But it was kind of that aha moment of reciprocity, right? If I can't watch other people's videos, I won't do them. If I want people to watch mine, I need to watch theirs. Where's the connect there? And so for me, it was these short form videos.
Right. No, that's a huge writer downer. So for anybody that's watching this content like right now, write that down, 30-second videos and the reciprocity of watching other people's videos. So when you comment, you have something really sage to say about what they took the time to put out. So I think that's a huge writer downer, Cory. Given that you took so much time to kind of test the waters, so to speak, and you've already got this figured out, you've already got this dialed in after many hours of playing around, so to speak. What does working with you, because I know one of the things you do that we haven't mentioned is being a growth coach. So what does working with you as a growth coach do for your clients?
So first of all, and I'm proud to say this, most of my clients go more viral than I do. And, just as kind of a barometer for those that are not familiar with me, I posted last night, I think it's at 150,000 views and 3,000 likes, right? Like that's the type of engagement that I'm pretty used to getting at this point. But I have clients who go more viral than I do. And some of them have less than, 90% less followers than I do. And so here's the strategy that I've implemented. Why go viral on LinkedIn for viral's sake, right? I'm not a vanity metrics guy. Why get 100,000 people to your profile if they don't know what you do, if they have to guess, if they have to, reach out and book a discovery call? Frankly, I don't think anyone watching this has time for 100,000 discovery calls, right? So how do we qualify? How do we vet? For me, that became really obvious. And I'll give a great example in a second because I just redid my profile after about a year the other day. But how do you optimize your profile so that when people see it, they know what you do and they want to work with you? I changed my headline the other day to, I create LinkedIn influencers. And I've had a couple hundred people, it's been less than a week, reach out to me and say, I want to be a LinkedIn influencer. How do you do that? And well, I'm a growth coach and here's what I charge it, because that's important that people know that as well. And so optimizing the profile is the first step that I do with clients. And, frankly, I teach people how to do this with my content as well. You don't need to work with me one-on-one to kind of learn what I know and some of the ropes. But Once your profile is optimized, now how do you get the 100,000 people there, right? Like once your banner tells people what you do, because if LinkedIn is an information superhighway, your banner is your billboard, right? And you can get as many people to go past and look at that thing as possible. How do you get a value proposition on there? How do you let people know that they're lucky to have found you? For me, it's not just your banner and your profile pic, but it's also your headline. And people won't see your whole headline unless they go to your profile. So how do those first 5 words really hit home? Right? For me, it was waiter turned entrepreneur. That helped me sell a lot of software in the restaurant industry. Now it's like create LinkedIn profile and LinkedIn influencers. That's getting a lot of aspiring LinkedIn influencers to reach out and see how they can work with me as a paid client. So that psychology of now that it's optimized, how do we get people there? Well, it's dialing into certain trending conversations. On LinkedIn, it's all about how do you get a job? How do you hire clients or employees rather? How do you sell whatever it is that you're selling, your coaching course, your influencer podcast, right? Like everyone is on LinkedIn to sell something. So it becomes psychological. So how do you speak with, not at your audience, in a way that they're going to resonate with to get them to your profile? And so that's what I work with clients on. It's for me, I've had clients that have been with me for almost a year now, which is about as long as I've been doing this coaching. But a lot of my clients I only work with for a month or two, because at that point they've learned everything I can teach them. And that is week 1, optimize your profile. Week 2, optimize your content so that you start going viral. Week 3, find your targeted influencers and engage with them. A lot of them end up engaging with you back, but it's not about getting their engagement. It's about getting your name in front of their audience, right? Because now you've got an optimized profile. Now their audience can see that you're getting 500, 700, whatever likes per post. That is the social proof. And from there, it's just all about fine tuning and refining.
You said something that was really, really important. And I think it's worth highlighting so folks write this down and embrace it. You know, the first was optimizing the profile. The second was optimizing the content. But the third was, you know, we talk about in sales, finding your ideal client avatar. You took it even further as relates to LinkedIn and said, find your ideal influencer and engage there at that point, and meaningful engagement, you know, because a lot of times I know when I get it, I'm just happy anybody's engaging. But when I'm engaging with others, I want to make sure I'm doing more than saying, great post, nice share. Something that's a little more thoughtful to drive the algorithm for that person as well, instead of maybe just emoji after emoji after emoji. So I know when I got the privilege of hearing you talk with Derek Mildred, and you all were talking about the whole, for lack of a better term, it's the whole giving value on LinkedIn. How do you add value? How do you create value? And one of the things that I loved when I went and saw your profile and saw that you had changed your headline, and it was just in block letters, I create LinkedIn influencers. That right there is a value add without being gimmicky and sticky and all of that. So I wanted to get your take on this whole concept of adding value on LinkedIn. What does that mean to you?
So that's another amazing question. This is why you are who you are. But I think it's hilarious because Derek is a guy where he's done some really cool things for people online, and he's a friend of mine and I respect him, but he tells a lot of people very often that I changed his life and his, you know, LinkedIn activity and things like that. He was actually a participant in my very first masterclass, but he cites that statement as being what changed his life. He said, I taught him how to add value. And when he and I talk, when others say that they heard me say that, I say, well, wait a minute. That kind of worked a couple of years ago when I taught it to Derek, but here's the problem. Everyone now wants to show up on LinkedIn to add value, and I think almost everyone's doing it wrong. That doesn't mean to teach people anything. People are not on LinkedIn to learn, right? Like there's LinkedIn Learning, there's colleges, there's online university. People are on LinkedIn to sell something, and that's it. So if I show up and I want to teach people how to do anything other than get a job or to sell what it is that they're selling, it's not value add, right? Here's the top 5 things, the top 10 things you should know. That's condescending. That's insinuating that my audience doesn't know these things, or that I know something that they don't. No one logged on to LinkedIn to see what Cory Warfield knows, right? And so this whole well, thank you. But it's just really really weird thing where people think they're adding value by showing up and talking at their audience. And in my perspective and in my reality, the way you add value is to give people space to speak, right? So you talk with your audience and you literally, so if I show up and say, let me teach you how to get a job, some people might tune in and others might tune out. But if I show up and say, how do you help people get a job on LinkedIn? And by the way, if you're looking for a job, how can we help you? Big difference, right? That's the value. The value is giving them the space to either talk about what they're doing, what they're selling. And I have this really weird concept that everyone is on LinkedIn to sell something. That's not true of any other social media platform, right? If I go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of reasons to be on there, right? Find a mate, make your ex from high school jealous, find a group of people that are like-minded, right? On LinkedIn, there's no reason to be on LinkedIn if you're not either selling yourself as a job seeker, selling yourself as an employer, selling your services as a coach, selling your book as an author, right? Like I've noodled on this a lot. I've probably spent hundreds of hours on this and in conversations. There's no possible reason that makes sense, right? And maybe there's the outlier, but to be on LinkedIn if you're not selling something, right? And so that's the dynamic. And so the value to me, and if you're adding value there, how do you help people sell stuff? And it's really easy when I work with clients too. It's like, okay, who are you selling to? Stop selling to them. What are they selling? How do you help them sell more of it on LinkedIn? If you can be that person, they're going to lean into you. They're going to do business with you. They're going to buy whatever it is you're selling de facto, right? But and so it's really kind of almost this anti-sale. And for me, it's been hugely effective for myself and my clients.
Well, and I think you do it in one of the best ways possible. You do hold space. You hold, oh, did I just see a tail?
You did. This is one of the cats that'll be jumping through the frame.
No, I love it because I put mine in the guest room, so they wouldn't do that. Next time I'm bringing them out.
Please do.
That leads me to the piece de la resistance, and that is you have studied the algorithm so much. Were there any other key findings besides what you've already mentioned?
There are a lot. So the first is kind of the concept of red ocean, blue ocean. Don't post when everybody else is posting. So my sweet spot is 10 p.m. to 4:30 or so a.m. my local time, which is usually Central Time. So usually I have a very cute kitten when I'm home in Chicago, but then I have two big mastiffs that are usually in the frame. Here in Rio, I've got these amazing cats. But so down here I calibrate by 2 hours because I'm 2 hours ahead. But so I go for that same time frame. When can I post when no one that's inherently competitive to me is posting? And the beautiful thing about that is when you post late, no one else is posting late, but they're checking their LinkedIn before bed, right? No one else is posting that early, but they're checking their LinkedIn before they post and before they get active. So how do I hit top trending on the news feed? Another thing that I found is highly effective is tagging people in your posts only if and when they're going to engage right away. So a lot of people tag all these people in their posts. If you tag people that don't engage with you, your post won't do well. So it's really important. And one of the kind of, life hacks or cheap tricks to get people to engage if you tag them in your post is to send them a quick link, not to say, hey, will you engage with this post? And these are kind of the subtle differences. And I've got one more that's really effective after this, but these are the subtle things. So you send a link to someone and say, hey, by the way, I just tagged you in my post. I hope you don't mind. Here's why I tagged you, right? I think my audience needs to know what you're up to. I talked about something that you're a thought leader in. And here's kind of the caveat. If you don't want me to tag you again, or if you want me to remove the tag, I'm happy to do so. Just say the word, right? All of a sudden you're being empathetic. You're being considerate. You're not asking for anything. And that's a big thing on LinkedIn is so many people show up and go, hey, will you take 2 minutes to read this post? Hey, will you do this? Hey, will you do that? No one's on LinkedIn to do anybody any favors. So instead, you're doing them a favor, right? You're kind of insinuating like, hey, I did this to hook you up, right? Like you should be really stoked that I just tagged you in my post, but if you're not, I won't do it again. And typically they come out in droves and say, well, whoa, wait, no, thank you. Thank you for that. I'll like it, I'll comment it. Should I share it? Like, should I be your client, right? Like, and you can do that with prospects. And it's just the psychology behind why people are there. So only tagging people that are there, also not using hashtags with 10 million followers, because it's not going to get to a single follower of that hashtag. So a couple concentrated specific hashtags where the followers will absolutely see it in their news feed becomes really, really powerful. The last thing though, and I think this is the one thing that with all of my clients, once they understand this, is life-changing. It's the first line or two above see more that gets people to lean in. So it's not, hey, let me tell you something. It's, hey, what do you think about this? Or have you ever experienced this, right? Now it's not a binary yes or no question. If you're putting a question, it's an open-ended question that people have an actual what's in it for them to answer, or they know right away. So like, do you drink coffee or tea? No one cares, right? No one cares that someone they don't know is drinking. But here's the thing, if you drink coffee in the morning, what beyond the caffeine motivates you to do that? Is it routine? Is it the flavor? Or is it actually the chemicals? Right? People read that and they associate with one of those three. So it's bringing them into the conversation. And sometimes I like to do a lot of videos. Sometimes they're my own, or sometimes fans make them for me, but sometimes I just pull them off of Instagram TV or whatever it is. And so with these type of videos too, if it doesn't grab attention immediately, which is great when it can, but sometimes it's as simple as telling people, right? And this is the cliche, but wait for it, right? If people are told to wait for it, now they might just watch the 40-second video because they know there will be a payola. Or, I'll tell people things like, watch this to the end and I bet you'll laugh, right? Of course they're going to laugh because it's hilarious, right? But they might not have watched the 40 seconds if I didn't tell them that there was that payoff at the end. So I think just being really considerate and mindful and understanding that when you post something on LinkedIn, you're one of 10,000 people asking for every single person's attention. So let them know why they should give you their attention, right? Either they're going to laugh, either they're going to get a job or sell something or whatever it might be.
I think that's brilliant. And it was like what we did as an example in this video. Stay till the end. We'll talk about the algorithm, and you are the absolute master of that. So before we go, I want to make sure people understand the best way they can reach you to learn how to build their own influence on LinkedIn. How can they reach you?
Well, and that's another kind of LinkedIn hack, and it's a great question. And at this point, I do have a team that makes sure I get to the important messages on LinkedIn so they don't get buried. So if people message me and make it clear that they're interested in potentially working with me, those will find their way to my desk. But other than that, the way that people can get in touch with me kind of easily, and the way that I got in touch with all of my millions of follower influencers that now know me, love me, and work with me, is on Twitter, is on Instagram, is on Facebook, right? Like, I probably get one Twitter message a week, and that's more than likes I get on. Like, Twitter doesn't know I exist, and I kind of joke, like, lately I've had some tweets that do pretty well. But if someone messages me on Twitter, I'll see it. Like, I guarantee I'll see it. But if somebody messages me on Instagram, I'll see it there too, right? Like Facebook, I get a lot of messages there because that's now a place where people know they can access me. But if someone wants to reach out and say, hey, Cory, I mean, I can't give people free sessions and things like that, but I can give people some advice, right? I can, right, ask me 3 questions on Facebook Messenger, I'll answer them for you. So I think just finding, again, that blue ocean, right? LinkedIn, I get buried. I've literally, and I say this, with a heavy heart, but not to be cavalier, I've missed out on multi-million, or at least more than $1 million, literally dollar deals and messages I didn't see for 2 months. Because I had so many messages, and you finally go back, you're like, oh crap, they wanted a demo. Right? They have 8,000 locations. That would have, right? But they just messaged me on LinkedIn. Meanwhile, 30 people after that sent me their links and, right, all of these things. And so I never saw it. So going to where people, where there's less noise, just kind of cutting through that, to me has been really powerful.
So there it is, folks. If you want to get a hold of the Cory Warfield, do it on Twitter, do it on Instagram. Make sure if you're in LinkedIn, when you send that DM, say it's because you want to work with him, and that will get the intention. So thank you so much, Cory. I hope you guys got a lot of gold nuggets out of this debut episode. Be sure you do like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts about this episode and how Cory's tips have helped your profile moving forward. Come back in, leave a comment. We'd love that. Catch you on the next one. Take care.